Sunday recap, Week 18. Kevin Bunk, Michael Merlo coming to you every Sunday night. This week, Monday, Mike was in Philly yesterday to watch his mighty Giants finish out the season with their loss to Tanner McGee and the Eagles C team. But he's here today, and we are doing a Monday morning recap, which is better for this week because we get to see everything that happens on Sunday Night Football last night. We get to see all the coaching news. We'll go through all of it today, but we'll start with these postseason teams. But Mike, just your thoughts on the regular season ending here.
Yeah, it was a tough end, I think, for the NFL. You had a lot of really bad football games that didn't mean much. You had a lot of teams that sat a lot of their star players, their quarterbacks, the last couple of weeks of the season here, just due to injury and things like that, knowing they were out of it. So this is the negative side, Kevin, to extending the season a game, because we see this more now. I feel like the last couple of seasons where these last two games for some of these teams out of it are just absolutely brutal. And then you have the teams that have clinched things, and there's not an extra bye, so there's more incentive to resting more guys here for a lot of these teams. So the end of the regular season here for the NFL sucks. You had one game that meant something, and the game sucked last night. So a bad end for the NFL for sure to the end of the regular season. And I think just a really sloppy year of football.
Yeah, it was overall, I think, a down regular season, right? Still enjoyed it, still look back on it fondly, but a lot of stuff that the NFL maybe banked on or that the NFL needed to happen, I just don't think went their way, and especially with a team that wins 15 games, lost one with all their backups yesterday in the Chiefs, and they couldn't be more boring to watch. I mean, that was a problem for them this year. That won't be a problem for them in the postseason, I don't think, with Kansas City. No. But we'll see. They could finish strong here. I like the playoff bracket. We'll talk about it in a minute. But overall, Sunday Night Football last night, total dud from Minnesota and their offense. It was terrible. And I want to know which way you lean here. Are you more down on Minnesota or more high on Detroit after that?
I would say I'm more high on Detroit just because, that's a good offense. We know how good offensively Darnold and the Vikings have been, even against good teams. So I think for the Lions defense, getting Angeloni back, they looked really good last night, especially in the red zone. I mean, I was sitting there rooting for the Vikings. I had no money on the game, but I was rooting for the Vikings. And it was so frustrating watching them in the red zone. I couldn't believe it. And I think I agreed with O'Connell at least the first time going for it, knowing you need touchdowns to beat this team. I probably would have went for it the first time, but they looked so lost. I think after the second or the third time, I think he went for it again after he kicked the field goal. I probably would have just kept kicking field goals because they couldn't do anything. And that was so frustrating to watch.
No, they couldn't. And I'll be honest, Darnold looked a tick off all night. He did not look like the guy we've seen all year. I think there were a lot of nerves. And, Mike, let's face it, that's really the first big game he's played in the NFL. That's the first massive game he has played, the first playoff atmosphere on the road against maybe the best team in the league. I think that we have to put the Lions in that conversation. And Darnold did not look good, especially on those opening couple drives, missing Jefferson a few times. And then he had the Jefferson drop in the end zone on a tough catch, high ball, but he should have brought it down on that second down that they eventually kicked their first field goal. So overall, not too concerned with Minnesota. I'm not much further off of where I was last week with them. I think that they could still make noise in this postseason bracket. I still think they could lose in round one to the Rams. It's a tough draw. So are you on that path? Because I see a lot of people on Twitter, and I'm almost there. I'll know more by Thursday, Friday how I feel, but that's the Monday Night Football game, and that's a coin flip right now.
That's a great game. I think it's a coin flip. I don't know which side I'll be on Monday night, but that's a really tough draw for both. Interesting that the Rams sat, the Rams sat their guys yesterday. They played Jimmy G. What do you think of that? Because I feel like I would have rather win that game. I would have rather win that game and then draw the Commanders in the first round of the postseason, be a 3. And they just sat there, guys. They almost won the game, but they sat there, guys. I was shocked when I found out that game meant something for seeding and they were sitting there, guys.
Yeah, I didn't like it when I heard going into it that they were sitting there, guys, but the fact that they almost won told me that McVay had a pretty good feeling that they could win that game without Stafford and their top guys. So it's a tough spot for coaches because now, I mean, the reward for Minnesota too, which is also going to be playing into LA, is if you win next week, you're probably going to Detroit on a short week, which sucks. That's total disadvantage in the playoffs to lose the day. So I hate the Monday Night Football game on in the wild card round. I don't think it's of use at all.
Yeah.
But either way, Rams, it was interesting that McVay didn't even give the guys a half or something because it did matter for seeding. But also, he's probably sitting there just saying, I don't care who we play. I think Washington's tough, and I think that the Vikings are tough, and I think we could beat either of them at home. He might not care. He might have a pretty good gauge on both teams. I don't know. I think that the Minnesota defense, though, for the Rams, who haven't scored many points, the starters the last few weeks, that's a tough defense to walk into and feel good about playing, especially indoors. I don't want to play the Minnesota defense.
Yeah, I kind of have this confidence in Stafford, though, that even though it hasn't looked great.
The game was they win.
Say that again?
The game was tonight. I'm saying I think they win. So I agree. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but the confidence in Stafford and McVay are through the roof for both of us.
Yeah. That's a great game, though. That's a great draw. And I'm pumped to see that one. And the spread's 2.5, by the way. That's why I paused for a little bit there. I wanted to see where Vegas set that line. The Vikings are 2.5 point favorites on the road in LA.
Wow. Okay. Fair. I think that's a good line. Minnesota's been the better team all year.
Yeah.
So they couldn't be an underdog in their round one game. That couldn't happen. But they have a tall order, I think, going to LA and having to win that. Are you in favor of the league reseeding potentially in the future and winning your division or coming in second in your division doesn't automatically put you out of the top 4 seeds? That's become a conversation here, not only with the NFL, but with the college football playoff, but reseeding once you get to the postseason. Are you into that?
Yes, I think I am, especially in college. I mean, the fact that teams like Arizona State and Boise State got a bye to me is fascinating. But in the NFL, I'm a little less on the yes side, a little like, I still am like a traditionalist when it comes to winning your division, but when you have a 14-win team that has to go on the road now and play next week, when they should probably at least have a home game, I have a little bit of an issue. So maybe it's an outlier year, but I think I would be okay with it if they implemented that rule after this season.
Little breaking news for you. Bengals fired Lou Anarumo.
Okay.
So he's going to be a hot defensive coordinator candidate for teams. He definitely missed his head coaching window, but
he missed his head coaching window. But remember, for 2 or 3 years, he was getting interviewed to be a head coach.
He was. We all thought he was going to become a head coach for
yes.
the year that they were in the Super Bowl and the year after. I thought we all were on that train, and rightfully so. He earned the opportunity to do so.
Right, he did a good job with the defenses that he had this year. I mean, they didn't do anything to help him, in terms of spending on the defense. So, they needed a scapegoat, right? Taylor's not going anywhere. They needed a scapegoat for what is a just terribly disappointing season. So, yeah, that makes sense.
And the defense was horrible this year. They lost a lot of games. The defense was really bad this year. Anarumo's obviously a good coach, but it's tough to do it with that unit over and over and over again because certain guys in that secondary are just notoriously not good. I mean, he made a Super Bowl with Eli Apple, and I'm not trying to say that as a joke on Eli Apple.
Yeah.
He just wasn't good. They had a good defense with him as a top 2 corner.
Mm-hmm.
I thought his time impressed me in Cincinnati. He'll definitely be calling plays for a defense next year. He's not going to get relegated to linebackers coach or safeties coach or D-line coach somewhere. That's just not going to happen. So he'll get a job. But back on track with the postseason here is the reseeding. So you're in favor of it. I like it. I think it still is important to win your division. I don't think it would take away from that, and you'd still play your division games because winning your division will get you the auto bid in. But you watch what the NBA does, and the NFL won't fall into the same problem of divisions not mattering at all because you play only 17 games, and 6 of them are against your division opponents. So I don't think it's what happened with the NBA when they went to the format of best 8 get in, you seed in order of wins, and the divisions completely stopped mattering except for an extra game on your schedule because there's 82 of them.
Yeah.
So you're only playing them 4 times over 82 games anyways. I know that some people were saying concerned that rivalries will fade out. I don't think that reseeding will make Steelers-Ravens any less intense during the regular season. It's just that is the right way to go, reseeding, because there's no reason for Minnesota, who has this incredible year, 14-3, has a top 10 MVP quarterback, has probably the coach of the year, runaway coach of the year. I think he'd probably win it. Yeah. And they have to go on the road probably every game they play. If they go to the Super Bowl, they're not going to play a home game.
No. Can we talk about a matchup you just mentioned there for a second?
Yeah.
Go to that.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a team in sports history that I think the majority of the fan base of the league would rather not watch in the postseason? Do you have any interest whatsoever in watching the Steelers play a playoff game Saturday night? Interest?
I don't, but I think they can win. Just because it's Baltimore. I thought Baltimore was the best draw for them out of the 3 division winners available.
I don't no. If they played the Texans, I think they probably would have won the game. But
I think the Steelers would have lost to the Texans. I think that the Steelers stink. But there's just that comfort with playing in Baltimore against Jackson that gives Pittsburgh a little bit more security in their game plan and in their preparation for the week, and probably doesn't give Baltimore much comfort in playing them, because they're saying they got to play them a third time. It's not easy to play Pittsburgh. Even when you beat them, it's not easy to play them. You would have rather played LA. For me, if I was Baltimore.
Chargers.
Give me the Chargers, because Pittsburgh's comfortable with us, and Tomlin is good against Lamar, man. He knows how to scheme up against Lamar. I don't think they're going to win, but they can. If there's a game they can, I think it's against Baltimore.
I don't disagree that they can win the game. I just I have zero juice going into this and saying, yeah, I'm excited to watch the Steelers play a football game.
Yep.
I'd love for them to upset the Ravens. That would be great. And I'll be probably rooting for it on Saturday night. But come on. Really, this is the team we got to see. And I'm not a fan of the Bengals. I thought the Bengals would have gotten blown out here, in against Buffalo, but they deserve to be in the postseason more than the Steelers do, I think, at least. With the way the season ended?
Yeah. I think that
would you rather watch?
We'd all be sitting here preferring Cincinnati, also because they have the best quarterback in the league. Cincinnati has the best quarterback in football this season.
That's a little crazy. I know. I saw that post this week.
I think in terms of stats and performance this year, for me, it was Burrow. Oh, it was the best. But he's not the MVP. Shouldn't be the MVP, but he was the best quarterback.
He's definitely not the MVP, but I don't know. If you're gonna say best thrower of the football this season, fine. But best overall quarterback, I don't know how you sit there and say it wasn't Lamar. And Lamar's passing numbers.
Would you put Allen over Burrow?
Honestly, and I'm the biggest Allen guy in the world. No, yeah. I probably wouldn't.
Well, here's the argument that we could definitely all agree on. There's 4 quarterbacks worth arguing for the top spot. All 4 of them play in the AFC. Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Burrow. Burrow's the only one that's not in. His team misses by a game, and no one wants to watch this Russell Wilson, Arthur Smith offense in the postseason. It's a complete just drag to watch this team. I said the Steelers were in the Super Bowl 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know how much I'd like to come in here today and say they're going to upset the Ravens. This is exciting. This is a good team. I have no interest in watching them. I have absolutely no desire, just like the rest of America who's not a Steelers fan. I think a lot of Steelers fans don't even want to watch the team.
They don't.
After the last month. And a lot of them want Tomlin fired. That tells you so much about their emotional state with the team. This is terrible that they're in. You're right. And Burrow should be here. I'd rather see him. I'm more excited about the Broncos at 1:00 on Sunday against Buffalo, even though that could be a game. That probably is a 35-40 point route. I
think that could be a game.
Anything can be a game. But I'd say I think there's a better chance it's a 3-touchdown win for Buffalo, and Allen just looks like a monster than there is that it's a 1-score game. Okay. Anything can be a game, you're right. But I'm more excited for that one than Pittsburgh, just because I don't want to watch Pittsburgh.
If I was the Steelers, I don't know if I would fire Tomlin, but I would not hang up the phone on trade offers for him.
Oh, but who are you getting that's better than him? This is
in this scenario, I think a change just might be needed, because you can't be okay with just being mediocre every season. Can we make a legitimate attempt to get him a quarterback besides Kenny Pickett or Russell Wilson? Who are they going to get, though? Who are they going to sign this offseason? You're going to sign Darnold?
About the coach. So I think you already have the coach in place. You don't have the quarterback. Why would you flip the coach?
You're going to sign Darnold? You're going to bring in Kirk? Is that going to be better than Russell?
I think I'm at a point with Tomlin where if I'm the front office, I'm saying, how many picks do I need to trade to move up 20 spots in the draft? And I'll do it because I think our coach and our development program is great enough. We need a quarterback out of the draft that we love. I don't think they loved Kenny Pickett. I think Pickett fell to them, and it was a rare opportunity for Pittsburgh to get the best quarterback in the draft.
They need a couple more weapons. It's not. I don't think it's like this clear, easy fix. You have Pickens, okay, you work with them.
Who, by the way, no good. Pickens, no good.
He's a 2.
But emotionally and on the field and just everything he does with his antics, this is not a player. Because even Antonio Brown was not like this in Pittsburgh.
No, he's not a professional. But when he's on, when he's on and he's playing, he's special. You're like, oh, that's a rare talent when he's playing well.
Yeah.
He's a freak athlete.
What do you think happens in this game? Do you think Pittsburgh gets a win here or no?
No, I think maybe it's an 8.5 point spread. Maybe they cover the spread late, but I think the Ravens and Lamar are just they're here to prove everybody wrong, and they want that
Henry
game against Buffalo
on Saturday.
Yeah,
Henry you want on Saturday.
They want that game against Buffalo and see what happens. They lost there, right, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. They want to avenge that one. I think Baltimore is going to make sure they're in that game against Buffalo.
And if Lamar loses this game, oh my God.
But he's going to be backed up with an MVP, though. He's going to be a 3-time MVP.
Yeah, but now it's going to start holding a lot less weight. This is what we said about Judge in the middle of the regular season in baseball. If he wins a second MVP but sucks in the playoffs, who cares? And I did end up feeling that way. And every comment on any social media post about him winning MVP was not in the postseason. And his legacy is going to start to really take the hit. I think Lamar's still at a safe place here where he's saying, I'm in a conference with Mahomes, with Allen, with the Chiefs. Allen's not beaten Kansas City either. Only Burrow has. So Lamar's in that same territory, but he has the MVPs to back it up. Now, if you lose to Pittsburgh, it's going to start to get really ugly because you're going to lose your year of Derrick Henry, best playmaker you've ever had, good offensive line, good defense, not the best defense you've ever had, but good, and the best season of your career. To lose to Pittsburgh is bad.
If they lost to Buffalo, in Buffalo, he's safe.
He has to play well, though. You have to walk out of the game saying, all right, Allen just outdueled him.
Like Buffalo. The Allen losses to the Chiefs. Nothing Allen could do.
Well, the one Allen lost to the Chiefs, yeah.
Okay. What's the other one he didn't play well?
The AFC Championship, the first time. They scored 10 points.
Oh, okay. He played well in the divisional round last year, though, against them.
I'm not remembering that game, I'll be honest with you.
The one in Buffalo, 27-24. They missed the field
goal.
Oh,
yeah, the at Buffalo game. Yep, I'm thinking of all the Arrowhead games. Yeah, at Buffalo, he did play well. So yeah, but you need to have that as the last year's division round is probably exactly what Jackson would need to do to cover himself up
for a year
in a loss. And you win the MVP, your defense couldn't contain Allen in Buffalo. That's what happened. That's what needs to be the narrative. Or Derrick Henry got completely stalled in Buffalo and you did a good job, but is what
he has
is.
to play well.
Lamar's gonna win. You think he's going to win the MVP though? You're very confident in that now.
Yeah,
Did
should.
the odds move at all this morning?
I don't know. I can check for you.
Let's see. NFL MVP odds. Latest odds following week 18 from Bleacher Report has Josh Allen minus 230.
That's crazy.
From DraftKings.
That is wild.
I think there is an element of this that Lamar's won his last 2, so Allen's going to get his chance here. Because Allen has been good enough, in theory, to win the award based on his personal stats, but he's never won it because I thought last year had a better case for Allen as MVP.
I thought so too. I would have voted for Allen last season.
This year, I think Lamar has the ultimate case. But I mean, if DraftKings has a minus 230, that makes me think he's going to win.
He's going to win it. Yeah, it's done now. I mean, the votes are in. So
exactly. And I don't know how much this weekend swayed it because Allen didn't play. So I think you had to have that vote in before this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. You want to give me some first round predictions here? Want to walk through them?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Every game quick. You want to start AFC or NFC?
We'll start let's go in order. Let's go in order of the day.
I don't have the schedule up.
I have it memorized.
You do it.
All right, so we have the Chargers and the Texans.
Yeah, I think the Texans are going to win.
I can't see it for the life of me.
I
cannot see it for the life of me.
I hope they don't. I want to see the Chargers.
I have the Chargers.
I just think that there might be just a surprise from Houston. I think everybody's saying we want to play the Texans. Every fan this weekend was hoping that their team would be in a position to play Houston over Baltimore, which is fair. That's what you'd want.
Yeah.
But I think Houston's just going to pull off a first-round win.
I think the Chargers' defense is too good, and the Texans are just way too banged up, especially on the offensive line. I think Stroud's going to have another bad – and I wouldn't be concerned. Like, I wouldn't sit here and say I'm concerned about Stroud going forward. I like CJ. I think he's going to be really good. It's a sophomore slump. It's a bad year, and I think it'll continue in the postseason.
Do you think they can make a change at offensive coordinator this offseason? No way. Right?
I wouldn't. Just because if Slowick had a good year here, he would have been hired as a head coach.
Yeah.
So I'd keep the staff intact.
All right. So we're split on that. We'll see.
Steelers Ravens Sunday night. We both Saturday night. We both kind of said we think the Ravens are going to win this game.
Yep.
The Broncos at the Bills. It's 1:00 Sunday.
Buffalo wins. Hopefully close.
I think Buffalo's going to win this game close. I think I would take the Broncos.
Great game for the Broncos yesterday, man. They didn't even. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a doubt in there. I thought Wentz was going to perform a bit. He sucks. There goes the whole. He could be the next Darnold.
Yeah.
Mayfield.
I was on that train. For a little bit.
I thought if he had a good game yesterday, it would have happened with him getting a contract this offseason, but he's awful. And great win for Denver. Knicks played awesome. No doubt from the start of that game, but I think that they get bounced here. But that's a great season for the Broncos.
The Packers and the Eagles, 4:30 on Sunday.
I'm going to do what you did last year. I think the Eagles run them out of the building. The 7-seed Packers versus the 2-seed Eagles. Philly is going to dominate this game. Absolute domination, all three phases. Packers don't have a chance.
You beat me to it. I was going to do the same exact thing. They're going to kill them. This game is not going to be close. The Packers are frauds. Packers 1-5 in their division. Packers haven't beat a good team all year. I mean, please. Again, it's a young team. And I said this on Hardline last week. It's a young team. They don't match up with the top teams in the NFC. They don't have the rosters even close. Eagles, not even close in Philadelphia.
No fear from last season?
None. I can't wait to clip this up for both of us. You're going first, too, so I don't get all the hate.
I'm going first on this.
Bad hate last year I got.
We're posting this later in the week, so it's still around Sunday when the Packers absolutely rout Philly, ending their season, and the game is not even close. You got destroyed last year. I'm trying to find the video now. You got absolutely destroyed last season.
Last week, we went out for lunch with my buddies, and this came up, and we went through all the comments. We did it twice last week, actually. 2 different groups of people. They like, I want to read the comments. They were bad. They were really, really, really bad. It was like you know what it was. It was playoffs. It was bad.
But Instagram just keeps telling me like 46 weeks ago. I don't know what that is. It would have to be 52 weeks ago.
Yeah, keep going. I can find it easily for you. I'll tag you in it if you don't get there in 2 seconds, which you're really close to it.
No, now I passed it. What the hell?
Look for the Belichick. There's a cover of Belichick. Yeah. It's right there.
Is this the video, the Belichick video?
No. It's right there. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to destroy the Green Bay Packers. Destroy them. The Green Bay defensively, how many times have we joked about Joe Barry? Maybe the Packers will score, a couple of touchdowns, but it'll just become too much with the amount of scoring Dallas is going to do.
Dallas, I'm locking them in for like 30 points. I think that the only way Green Bay wins this game is if they get into a shootout. You're not going on the road and having Dallas put up 14, 17, 20 points at home. This is going to be an offensive explosion. I'm going to take every over that CeeDee Lamb has in this game. I think he's going to.
And JM just doubles down.
Nobody talks about JM in the comments either. It's all me. It's all me. I'm the only one getting crushed here. JM is like all over the Cowboys too. Nothing JM got in those comments.
Yeah, you got shredded in the
Go back to the fridge.
He doubles down completely. You go from just saying, 2 seeds going to dominate the 7 seed here. And I'm taking the over on CeeDee Lamb. I'm taking every over Dallas has to offer. They're going to blow them out. You're not going on the road. What was the final score of that game?
It was a lot to a little.
But I'm trying to see exactly. Let's see. Cowboys.
But now envision me, right? I'm a Giants fan. I hate the Cowboys. But I have this confidence that Dallas is going to win the game. So I have money on Dallas that day. I have my reputation on Dallas that day. And I remember the Packers went up 14-0. And we started to get some comments on the video. And I said, and my uncle walks in the house. He goes, I saw your video about the Packers. Oh my God. I knew exactly what was going to happen after that. Of course, it blew up. So here we go.
Yeah. That's
the life we chose, Kevin. And this is going to be us again next week when the Packers beat the Eagles.
We're setting ourselves up for it.
I can't wait.
All right, what game's next here?
That's the Buccaneers and the Commandos Sunday night.
Good
in
game.
Tampa.
I like this game a lot. Great Sunday night choice. I thought it was the best, closest NFC matchup. I'm going to take Tampa. I think that yesterday was for a long time very discouraging, but they just had to get in. I think that they thought it was going to be a little easier against the Saints than it was, and maybe they didn't take the game so serious. They would have got in anyways because Atlanta lost to Carolina.
Yeah.
But I think that Washington, a little inexperienced. I said it last week. I think they're the easiest out in the NFC. Not to disrespect them. I just think there's 7 good teams here, and they're the worst of the good teams. So I'm going to take Tampa. I think Mayfield gets it done for the 2nd year in a row, picks up a playoff win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tampa's going to win the game. I like Mayfield here. I don't like the Commander defense. This is going to be a high-scoring game because I don't love the Buccaneers defense either. So this was the first game Daniels played, and they handled them well. Daniels played all right. He ran a lot in week 1, but you can't take anything from that game, right? That game means nothing here. So, yeah, I like the Buccaneers too. I'm a fan of Baker. There's a couple of guys I'm rooting for in the postseason. I'm always rooting for the Bills. I'm rooting for Darnold, and I'm rooting for Baker.
Yep, that's a good group. I'm always rooting for Lamar, so I want to see Lamar win some games here. I want to see Baker win some games, and I'm always rooting for both teams on Monday Night Football, Vikings and Rams, which makes it very tough for me.
It's tough.
I want to say Rams today, but I think by Friday I'm going to be on Minnesota.
That is a really disappointing performance. But I don't think you're going to see a team. You're not going to see a team that close to the skill level of Detroit in this one. You're just not. So I'll take Minnesota, but I don't want to. I really want to take the Rams, but I'll take Minnesota.
All right, I'll take the Rams then. We'll just split them up here. One of us will be right. on that because I'm really at a coin flip. And I'd like to see the Rams pull off the upset, actually. I think that the Rams are a team, and we've been talking about them since last offseason, are a team that can absolutely make the surprise run as a 4 or 5 seed to the Super Bowl. And you don't see it often. It's usually one of the top 2 seeds, but the 4 seed usually, as we see in the AFC, is the worst of the 4 division winners. Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I think that the Rams have a chance to compete. I do worry about them going on the road outdoors a little bit. How about the fact that the Lions don't have to play a game outdoors the rest of the year? They don't have to go to Philly. They wouldn't have to go to Tampa Bay. They wouldn't have to go down south, which I think is tough also when you go into that blistering heat at this time of the year. They don't have to play a game outside all year. Super Bowl's in New Orleans. Very encouraging for Detroit.
Yeah, you got to love that. I think Philly matches up well against Detroit. And I think Philly's going to the Super Bowl. If we're doing that, I think it's going to be Philly.
Yeah.
Eagles now, Chiefs. What?
Eagles-Chiefs rematch?
Eagles-Chiefs rematch is where I'm going. Philly could avoid both teams here, both the Vikings and the Lions until the NFC Championship game. There's a real possibility of that if they get a Tampa win.
Mm-hmm.
So that's huge for Philadelphia. If they get a Tampa win, they'll play Tampa. I don't think that's an easy game, but it's easier than the Vikings coming into town.
Yeah, it is. And you don't want to see either of those 2 teams because they were the only 2 teams as good or better than you. And, obviously you can't get the Lions until the NFC Championship, but you don't want them either. So you're glad to avoid the 5 seed. You need that Tampa win. But even if they don't get it, I still just like them against Minnesota. I know you do too.
I would like them against Minnesota. Yes, I would.
But Tampa, I think, needs to Philly, it's important for them to leave this first game healthy. Leave this first game against Green Bay healthy. Mm-hmm. Get into the second game. You didn't play the guys last week. And it's also, we saw it last year with the Cowboys and Packers. I'll keep reminding you, but you can't get out to a slow start either. You can't rest your guys week 18 and get out to a slow start against Green Bay because they're going to be fine playing at the Link. They're coming from Lambeau to play at the Link. They're going to be fine in that outdoor game. Maybe your toughest opponent in terms of comfortability outdoors.
Outdoors, yes. That's going to be my first Eagles game ever yesterday, and the third stringers are playing against a Giant team that had 13 losses. And that place was a little loud early. I mean, they were excited to watch their third string quarterback get his first career win. So I can't imagine what that place is going to look like at 4:30. It's going to be dark out in Philadelphia for a playoff game. I can't imagine what that place is going to look like. So that's what's going to be tough for a young guy like Love coming in and playing a game like that. But outdoors, yes, they'll be fine in the cold weather and the wind. I think Philly starts out slow. That's the problem. But I think it'll be enough. I think defensively, they're going to be fine. Offensively, they might start out slow.
Well, Philly has an elite defense. So you could see the Packers starting out slow also in this game. Let's get to the meat of today. Well, first, we'll just get your Super Bowl winner. Who do you got here?
It's Chiefs beating the Eagles.
All right. I have Chiefs Lions. I do think the 2 1 seeds are going to make the run. And I think that it is, once again, the year for the Chiefs. So pretty chalky picks for us. But hopefully, I hope that there's some upsets in that. Let's go to the meat of our show today. Coaching cycle. Black Monday, my favorite day of the entire year on the NFL calendar because my football team participates almost every single season. And we are here Black Monday. How about yesterday's game? Gerard Mayo doesn't even get 45 minutes to celebrate the win. Patriots fire him. Justified, not justified?
It's justified because, and this is why he got fired. Mayo's fired because of the candidates that would want the Patriot job. You have good ownership. You have a ton of cap space. You have a really young quarterback that looks very good and a high draft pick. And when you have the top candidates available, like Ben Johnson, like Mike Vrabel, who are going to want this job, I can't see you passing up on it. And by the way, Kevin, I don't think you let go of Mayo, who you guaranteed the job to 3 or 4 years ago, just because of one bad season. You are getting rid of him because one guy's coming, and it's Vrabel. And I'm gonna say something that scares the hell out of you right now. I think Vrabel. Look, obviously, I'm not going to compare him to Belichick, but I think he brings that style of coaching, that kind of culture with a young quarterback here that looks really good. Like this is, if I'm in that division, I'm like, crap, this looks a little scary. I'm that high on Vrabel in the right setting here. This could be unbelievable for the New England Patriots. That's why you fire Mayo.
Yeah, this is a really good pairing. I would have fired Mayo no matter what. I thought he was such a disaster. I thought he was way in over his head. Maybe unfair for a first-time coach with absolutely the worst roster in football. But I just didn't like what I saw from him. I can't believe they're keeping Wolf here. I thought that Kraft would just clean it all out. But they keep Wolf, becoming a trend. We'll talk about it in a little bit. That general managers are staying in positions that head coaches are getting fired from. As of now, the Jets general manager opening is the only GM opening in the entire league. I think we're waiting on the Raiders here to see if there will be another. But bad job by Kraft keeping Wolf. But whatever. You get
Vrabel. Maybe Vrabel wants to work with him.
Vrabel might want to work with him. And that's something that you have to consider is they have had a few crossovers in their career. I don't think many, but Vrabel is going to want to work with him, clearly, if Kraft is keeping him. He's fine with that. I don't know if Vrabel is a total lock to get here. And by the way, we're going to be doing in a few moments Mike Vrabel, who'd you rather, with about 20 coaches that stack up with him. But we're going to see just how good he is. I don't know if Vrabel's a guy that I would immediately dive in and say, all right, you're our coach. We just have to do a couple Rooney Rule interviews, but you're our coach. Because they have to go through the process. They have to interview now 2 minority candidates to be the coach. I would definitely bring in Ben Johnson here with a legitimate interest in him. I would not bring him in and say to myself, well, we're hiring Vrabel anyways, but let's see what the kid's got. I would bring him in with a serious, serious interest.
Yeah, he's going to want the job. I mean, that's going to be a job he's going to look at and say, yeah, this is something I could work with. You know, it's a quarterback that I could work with. And, you know, obviously the pick and the money, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. But yeah, I don't know. I think like Vrabel has that feel. I mean, he just, for me at least, he has that feel, you know, and I think, you know, if my team had fired their coach, if the Giants had fired Daboll, and we'll talk about that obviously in a minute, you know, like this is a guy that I would have wanted. And I kind of feel like it's locked up already. I feel like it's done.
Yeah, and the only thing I get concerned with Vrabel is his ability to develop a quarterback. And the reason I say that is just because we haven't seen him do it. I don't really count Tannehill as that. He was a guy with a bunch of years under his belt. Yeah. Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator at that point. I don't also love the notion that Arthur Smith has been a great offensive coordinator in his career, because he even said it himself once. Life was pretty easy when you were handing it to Derrick Henry 25 times a game for his 2,000-yard season. So that's where my ultimate concern lies with Vrabel. But I have listened to him speak about working with Kevin Stefanski, and I haven't listened to it. I've read it. Him speak about working with Stefanski, learning a little more offense, learning how to coach players a little more delicately, which was a disadvantage that he put on himself in Tennessee. Said he focused on the things that players can't do, and now he focuses more on things that they also can do. So Vrabel is a home run, because at the end of the day, whether I think he is an elite coach or not, which I'm right outside on that fringe, he could be, and he might be, and there was a time just a few years ago where I would have said he was, he is the best coaching candidate available in a very long time. One guy I didn't put on our Who'd You Rather list, but I did want to bring up, was Doug Peterson at the time he was available for Jacksonville. Was he a better candidate than Vrabel? I don't even think I was as high on Peterson.
No. The only guy's Harbaugh. The only guy's Harbaugh. That's it.
Yeah, who honestly didn't feel very available.
Yeah, it felt like two places. Felt like two places.
I didn't feel
Chicago
like,
or
with the exception of New England now, it did feel like Vrabel. For me, I did think he was open. I don't totally buy into he only took the Jets interview for leverage for Kraft. I think there's 32 jobs. He needs one of them this offseason, so you don't turn any down. He might not have been very interested in going to the Jets, but I think he would have interviewed with the Jets, the Jaguars, the Bears, the Raiders. I think he would have interviewed with all these teams. So I'm not totally into the notion that Vrabel has only wanted New England and will only take New England. Now that might be the case that it's open. but he definitely felt more available for teams. And how did he not get hired last offseason? Right? How was he not one of the guys?
He wanted the Charger job, and obviously Harbaugh got that, and he kind of sat there and said, which job am I going to take? I don't know if anything was offered to him. I don't know if he was serious about other jobs, but I think he wanted the Chargers or nothing last offseason, is my understanding from what I've read.
No, that probably was the case, because I don't think that he was really very interested in Atlanta, and that was a Belichick, Raheem Morris race, and I don't think Washington was very interested in Vrabel, nor did he want to go there. He wants quarterback in place, and Drake May's still unproven, but you got to feel good about going there if you like your offensive staff, and you better like your offensive staff if you're taking a head coaching job.
Yeah. No, it's a great spot. It's a great spot for them. And I'm shocked I'm shocked Kraft did this. I also you brought up a good point about Mayo too. It wasn't just that you were 13-3 and had a terrible roster. It was how you handled your players throughout the year and how you handled certain situations. And to me, Kraft did a bad job of guaranteeing this guy the job 3 years ago. I mean, having it in writing that he was going to be the head coach 3 years ago. That's a bad job here. It's a real bad job, because he almost felt entitled getting this job.
Mm-hmm. He did. He completely did. And I don't know if it was something that you had to do to keep Belichick. It sounded like Belichick might have had a role in making sure Mayo succeeded him, and now Belichick and Mayo allegedly hate each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there.
I don't think Belichick wanted him to get that job.
It was a messy scenario, and for Patriots fans and for Kraft, you might get really lucky here, because Robert Kraft has not been involved in an NFL coaching search in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
More, because he didn't have to search for Belichick. Belichick wanted to coach New England. He already had a prior tie with him. It's the same thing that's happening with Vrabel. So he went and got him. But if Vrabel does that, you get very lucky, because you don't have to now go through sitting with 4 or 5 candidates. You don't have to sit with Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Brian Flores, whoever else, and say, man, which guy's the best for us? Because they all bring in good qualities. They all have some qualities that I don't love, and I have to pick one. You're just going to get gifted Vrabel here, as you were essentially gifted Belichick 25 years ago, and you don't have to go through the coaching search at all. That's a huge blessing for the Patriots.
And it just also feels like, the Jets put in it's funny. The Jets put in a request to interview Bobby Slowick. That's what we just talked about him.
I have a feeling that the Jets might have a search for their head coach that has more than 11, 12 people get interviewed.
That makes sense. But it feels like Vrabel wants the job too. That's what is so similar about it. Vrabel wants them. Which job would it's the most intriguing spot, New England. It's the best spot, right? I think we would agree that's the best. That's the best job. And they want you, and you're a former player, and you're a former champion. It makes so much sense. It makes too much sense.
What are we waiting for on Antonio Pierce here?
I don't know. Schefter said yesterday he's going to keep it.
I think he is, now that he hasn't fired him.
I don't know. What a mess. I thought that was a good spot for Vrabel to go be the head coach and GM.
Oh, do
if
both?
If they had gotten rid of Pearson and then fired Telesco, I thought that was a good spot for him to hire his own GM and really be in control.
All right, so before we get into Vrabel, who'd you rather? Assuming Pierce stays now, rank the jobs with the knowledge you have now. Because my rankings and my predictions from last night on Twitter changed with the Jaguars keeping Baalke.
Yeah, which is...
I'm curious, you want to rank these jobs first? Patriots, Jaguars, Jets, Bears, Saints.
All right, I'll go Patriots 1, Bears 2. I'll still go Jags 3. You have a potential quarterback.
Yep.
Jets 4, Saints 5.
Okay. And then we want to go Vrabel, Pats. I'm not far off on the rankings. I don't know if I even disagree, so I'm not even going to re-rank them. But Pats, Vrabel, Do the Bears get Johnson here now that Baalke's staying in?
The one thing, I understand this isn't the greatest thing in the world, keeping Baalke, but like if the Jags interview Johnson and this is their guy and they throw a ton of money in his face, I don't think he says no to that.
I don't either.
So that's my thing.
Who's coaching the Chicago Bears next year? I'm so confused on this.
I don't know. I
think they're going to be the team that hires the coach that you say, what the hell are they doing? You know, everyone else, there will be some sort of sensibility with it. Jaguars will get an offensive guy and you'll say, all right, they want him to work with Lawrence. And Chicago, their fans want Johnson so bad that they're going to be so disappointed when it's a guy like Anthony Weaver or a guy like Brian Flores, and you just say, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Because this makes zero sense. The Jets will have some sensibility with, all right, Aaron Glenn is a very accountable, disciplined coach. Brian Flores, same thing, whatever. You'll be able to make some sense, and you'll say that job sucked. So It's not crazy that Brian Flores took it or that one of these guys that you don't love took it. Same thing with the Saints. But with Chicago, this is supposed to be a highly coveted job. I don't think it is.
The issue I'll have is if they swing and miss on the top guys and they go defense. That the only guy I would have been okay with, non-offensive coach, I would have been okay getting was Vrabel. You know, bring the culture builder in here, and you'll figure out your offensive coordinator, right? That would have been the only guy. If you're not hiring him, which it doesn't seem like they're going to, you have to hire an offensive coach. And if you're a year early on a guy, then you're a year early on a guy. But you cannot hire a guy like Brian Flores here. I don't even think you can hire an Aaron. And I like Aaron Glenn a lot. This is not an Aaron Glenn spot. The Aaron Glenn spots are the Saints and the Jets, and I will praise them when either of them hire him. But this is not a Glenn spot. This has to be an offensive coach. If it's Kingsbury a year early, then it's a Kingsbury a year early. Then that's what it is. And you live with it. But they have to get an offensive coach. Have to.
And then the rest of the teams fill themselves out. You want to go to Vrabel? Who'd you rather hear?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so we are trying to figure out, because I personally don't know where exactly I'd rank Vrabel and head coaches. We're going to find out today where we would rank Vrabel among head coaches in the National Football League. And it's your stage, Mike. I'm going to read the names to you. It's your stage.
I'm going to ask you though your opinion on.
Yeah, I'll chime in after. But you are the guy deciding how valuable Mike Vrabel is.
All right.
First name, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
Second name, Mike McCarthy.
Oh, it's such a tough one. I wouldn't have said this six weeks ago. Mike McCarthy.
Todd Bowles.
Mike Vrabel.
Zach Taylor.
Mike Vrabel. I'd make that change, by the way, if I could, in real life.
Yeah, I would too. Dan Quinn.
Mike Vrabel.
Nick Sirianni.
How much is Nick Sirianni contributing to that offense?
I'm not sure, but I think
think
his record's way too good for me to take Vrabel.
His record's really good, but according to everything you read about the offseason and what went down, it was Sirianni's taking a hands-off approach on the offense. I don't think it's his offense. I think it's Kellen Moore. I think it was Steichen 3 years ago.
But isn't that still a good thing for a head coach? The fact that he noticed it, he stepped away, he hired the right guy?
Well, it was in the middle of a year where he said too much and they had a terrible collapse.
Yeah.
That fell in the middle of it. All right, Sirianni. You win.
DeMeco Ryans.
Vrabel.
No hesitation.
I like DeMeco, but there's too much experience. There's too much winning on Vrabel's side there.
Two-time Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski.
Stefanski. I would go Kevin Stefanski.
Sean McDermott.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
I think that's the toughest one on the list. It's going to get tougher. The next 4 are actually going to get tougher.
McDermott's won. He hasn't won the big one, but he's won.
But if Vrabel had Allen.
Oh, my God. The problem with me and McDermott is that he makes the bad mistake too much.
Mm-hmm.
He makes the big mistake every few games. Take Vrabel.
I'd rather have Vrabel also. Mike McDaniel.
That's a real good one. McDaniel, I think he's an elite play caller and elite play designer.
Tomlin. Dan Campbell.
Vrabel.
No.
Yep.
No.
You know I don't like Dan Campbell. You know the second he loses both these coordinators, I think there's going to be a significant drop-off in Detroit. You know I think that. Vrabel, 110%. If Vrabel had this team with those coordinators, same result. I don't think Campbell. Yeah, not even hesitation. No hesitation, Vrabel.
Wow. Vrabel, wow. All right. Pete Carroll.
Vrabel. And that's age. That's just age.
Yeah. Mike McDonald in Seattle. I just threw him in because he had the best first year, pretty much.
Yeah, I would still go Vrabel. I like him though.
All right. Ben Johnson.
Just experience. It's Vrabel.
Aaron Glenn.
Vrabel.
And Brian Flores.
That's close. Vrabel. Flores is doing a great job. You know what the thing is about Minnesota? And Flores should get a job. Like, I think that would be a really good hire for the Jets if they were to get him. Although Rex Ryan's going around the media today saying he loves his chances of getting the Jets job. So congratulations to you. I think Flores has done such an they have good players on that defense, but they don't have elite players there. And if they became elite players, it was because of the system that they're in. I think Flores has done such an unbelievable job, the best job out of any defensive coordinator this season with that Vikings defense. So impressive. So impressive. He needs to get a job. And I know he bullied Tua a little bit. All right. You know, I think we need to bully people more, to be honest. I'm kidding. We need to become tougher, though. He's got to get a job. He's got to get a job.
That's fair. Do you think Flores or Aaron Glenn?
Glenn.
Yeah, I prefer Glenn also. All right, so this is a meaningless award for us, national media. You have a vote for assistant coach of the year. Who's your assistant coach of the year?
Flores.
Mine's Glenn. So it's got to be one of the two or Johnson.
Yeah. Flores for me.
Yeah, I like what Glenn's done with the defense, how injured it's been.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they are really banged up.
And how he's overcome that. I mean, he lost Hutchinson early.
But they've been giving up a lot of points before last night.
They have been. They get key stops. It's the three of them. I don't care who you vote for. The three of them are all so good this year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me. All right. Giants don't fire Daboll and Schoen.
Yeah.
Right move, wrong move?
It would have been the wrong move to keep Schoen and fire Daboll. I wouldn't have been upset if they fired both, and I'm not upset that they kept both. So I look at the coaching candidates here, and I say to myself, well, I don't know which guy I like more than Daboll. I think Johnson, obviously, Vrabel, obviously, maybe Glenn, but I don't think they're coming here. I think Vrabel would have considered the Giants, by the way. From what I read, Albert Breer had said that the Giants were a sneaky team for Vrabel if they were to get rid of the coach. But obviously, we think he's going to New England. I'm okay with it. I am. I'm just confused on what's going to happen here in the offseason. I mean, how many quarterbacks are there going to be? And you're picking third. And are the Browns picking a quarterback?
Browns have an interesting spot because you just see the Deshaun Watson news that came out that he has an Achilles injury setback, and how that impacts his 2025 season is unknown.
Yeah.
So now you feel like they're taking a quarterback here with the top 2 pick.
Yeah.
It'll be the first time Stefanski drafts his own quarterback with Cleveland, so he gets a shot. But Daboll and Schoen staying, I think, is a horrible decision because I think it's a total disaster. Because now you're putting them in a spot where this upcoming season and offseason, it's do or die. You have to win or you're done, and you have to develop a quarterback or you're done. You can't go bring in a bridge quarterback and try and win games. It's just not something that's in the cards for them. So now you're forcing their hand to take a quarterback in the draft. They might not be in a position to do so. And they're going to spend recklessly this offseason because they need to put a winning roster on the field.
So
I don't know if they're good enough to spend completely recklessly. And then macro, big picture, if they do draft a quarterback and he has a Drake May type of season next year, Daboll's not coaching him afterwards because you're going to win 4 games. Because Drake May, we all love the flashes. He's 15-10 with just over 2,000 yards. It's not a very overwhelmingly great rookie season. It's good. So if you have a Drake May season, you feel good about the rookie, but he doesn't do a good enough job to keep the coach. So you're going to be throwing him into a new system now going into year 2. And all of that, everything I just said, is a reason why I would have absolutely fired the 2 of them and went for a fresh start.
So I think if they have a 4, 5, 6 win season, but you could tell like they're figuring it out offensively, and it like the bar for the Giants is so low, okay? Because you have to just be competitive next season and show something offensively. If they're bad offensively again, yeah, they're all going to get fired. But if they're good offensively next season and they're competing in these games, they're not going to fire them. They're just not, in my opinion, at least. I know hindsight's 2020, and we look at the teams that got rookie quarterbacks this year, like you mentioned, Mayo and other things. But like, I think if he is here and they show signs of developing the quarterback and he shows flashes, they'll be back. You don't think so?
I think that we're going to be sitting here a year from today, and there's no chance they're back.
See, I think John Mara is not my favorite human being, but John Mara cannot be sitting here saying, you guys need to get to the postseason with a rookie quarterback, and if not, you're going to be fired. Like, Mara would have some hindsight here and say, okay, you know what? Maybe it is best for a fresh start. Let's fire both of them.
But you would need to win 7 or 8 games next year to keep them. And I don't think they can.
The number is, I don't think the number, unless it's like 2, 3, or 4, means that much.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm not saying there's a literal number, right? But if they don't win 7 games next year, that means they're one of the 7 worst teams in the league. And that is now 3 out of 4 years that you are one of the bottom 7 teams in the NFL with these coaches. And that is all after their first year, which, listen, made the playoffs, won a game, looks good on Daboll, doesn't look good on Schoen for me. I don't care. It was hardly even his team.
No, it wasn't his team.
And now you're looking at a general manager's resume who has drafted probably the worst top 10 offensive lineman of all time. Has, his best top 10 pick so far, and he's had a few of them, is Kayvon Thibodeau. Now it's going to be Neighbors.
Oh, yeah, it's Neighbors, yeah.
But the body of work, the most accomplished guy is Thibs. So you're going to have Neighbors next year. And then Deonte Banks sucks. Brian Burns, very good player. Not worth the top of the pass rusher market.
No.
And this is just how John Mara is going to analyze it. So while I like Daboll, and I think he could be good, I don't think Schoen is good. And I don't think Schoen is going to be good.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't like the way he's drafted offensive linemen. Obviously, it's been terrible, not even just in the first round, outside of the first round. Neighbors fell into his lap. Thibodeau hasn't been anything special. This draft looks unbelievable. I mean, guys in the 5th, 6th round look like they are, going to be players here. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Schoen. but you couldn't keep one. That's the problem.
No, you couldn't.
It was
And
either both.
they're going to be. You go.
No, you go.
I'm just saying they're going to be in a situation where they need a rookie quarterback to win them games right away, or a bad bridge quarterback with a rookie backing up to start the season to win them games right away. And that's going to be very difficult to do with the state of the division. Not easy.
I don't see. I don't know how you rebuild this team. There's a lot of young players here, so it's not like it's a complete overhaul. They need to just add. You know what I mean? There's a lot of young guys you're building around, and then there's the players you need to add, and it just feels like it's too much. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And is Aller coming out? That's the thing I need to know. Is Aller coming out? Because then
Aller's coming out, and you get one of the three. Yeah,
you get one of the three.
But do you even? I mean, you look at certain draft analysts early right now, albeit, but you look at certain draft analysts who are saying they don't even have a first-round grade on the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, Ward's going 1, and that's my guy. That's my favorite quarterback.
Yeah, and if Aller doesn't go, if Aller loses on Thursday, he's not going.
We need Aller to win.
You need Aller to win the national championship.
But Aller, right now, would probably be a top 3 pick. That's the thing. That's the interesting part. So if he thinks it's better for his career development to go back to college, then go back to college. But you're a top 3 pick here if you go into the draft.
Yeah.
Probably.
They're in a terrible spot.
You don't see this. You don't see this rebuilding. How good is Malik Neighbors, though? That guy.
Great. He's top 7 receiver in the league, probably.
He is unbelievable.
Out of the teams, I'm so different from last week's conversation about the Giants are a pretty good top 10 situation. I think the Giants are one of the worst top 10 situations now. Moving forward. The optimism I have for their future is so low. Third pick. As of now, your options are Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe with the third pick, or Carson Beck. And are you really going to go there with pick number 3?
No,
time will tell.
You definitely would not.
But they'd have to. Because how does Joe Shane justify, hey, sorry, John, we had a bad year this year because I had to have Kirk Cousins be our starter? Well, it's year 4. So you got to, at some point, you got to commit to something for the future.
Where does JJ fall in?
He's not getting traded.
You don't think they're trading him?
No way.
Why not?
0% chance he gets traded. Well, for starters, Darnold last night missed a lot of throws. If they lose a playoff game next week or the week after, you question whether or not you have the right quarterback. So you're just going to re-sign Darnold on as short a deal as you can get, or you're going to let him walk. I think that if Darnold has another game like he had last night, they will not be upset to losing him on a long-term deal.
Interesting.
They're not trading McCarthy, though. You traded
the
up.
Giants signed Sam Darnold.
No. No way.
So then what do you do? What do you want them to do?
That's the problem.
Should they trade up and get Cam Ward? I mean, should they offer the next 3 first-round picks for Ward?
And then you have to say, well, Brian Callahan allegedly almost got fired this week. So is he trading the first pick? And the GM, too. There was a lot more news about the GM yesterday morning that he might get fired.
Mm-hmm. So
they're not trading that pick.
You go up to the Browns and say, hey, take the next guy. We'll offer you the next 2 for. They probably do that. You probably trade with the Browns. Probably get up to 2. You could probably get up to 2.
We'll say this, right? My philosophy on coaches as well in this cycle. If they like a guy that we're sitting here, if they love Jackson Dart, who is a very, very talented quarterback, if they like Jalen Milroe, who is a ridiculous athlete, and they get him in the draft, whether that's a 3 or they trade back a couple and get him for a team that wants Travis Hunter or somebody, then whatever. But they could still be good. That's the path that I'm taking. I'm drafting a rookie. Who is your favorite quarterback at pick 3? And maybe Sanders is there. Maybe Ward is there. One of them goes 1. Cleveland decides to take Hunter. Next up, Giants are on the clock. Who are you taking? So I think it's a rookie quarterback, but you can't go to a veteran bridge guy. And I don't think you could pay Darnold here. I don't think you can justify giving out a long-term contract when your futures are up in the air. I don't like when GMs give out contracts. GMs who haven't won anything give out contracts that are longer than their time left with the team at the quarterback position. I don't like that.
John Mara said nobody feels the lousy record more than him, but at the end of the day, you need to make calm, rational decisions. We're going to stay with them.
And that's okay, but they really need to have a plan here. Like, it can't just be, all right, free agency's opening, we're breaking the bank on every guy. We need to just sign as many guys as we can. It can't be that panic, because that's what Dave Gettleman did. Kenny Golladay was a massive panic move, I thought. Never liked Kenny Golladay. There's just a lot of different guys that you could overpay for here and get your fan base excited about, and then it doesn't help you win games next year. You need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And if I'm John Mara and I'm keeping these guys, I would have told them you're getting another 2 years. I don't want them to have the no guarantee of 2026. I need them to have a guarantee in 2026, and based on their production and their record, I can't give them that.
When asked if the roster is better than 3 years ago, Mara, not sure he is all that confident that it is. I'll be very honest. I'll be honest, is what he said.
Yeah, it might not be.
And if he thought the Giants were tanking games, everyone would have been fired.
Yeah, which is good. I like that.
I don't know. He just did a press conference. I'll go look at that. Can't force a quarterback, but you might just have to. And I agree with you. If you bring him back, if you bring both of them back, they need a guarantee they're here for the next year. And if I was Daboll and Schoen, like, I don't know if I would want the job knowing I had to win a certain X amount of games this year in this current situation.
Well, I don't think you literally need to win a certain amount of games, but you need to really give confidence that I'm telling you, if you have the season that the Patriots just had, where fans are excited about the quarterback, but you only win 3 to 5 games, you're done. It's over. You're done. And that could be a big picture success for Daboll, is this quarterback looks good. And I'm excited to work with him, and then you get fired. The only other route that you could possibly take a quarterback is sign, and this is a terrible route. This is awful. Is sign a guy like Russ, or a veteran guy like that, or Justin Fields, and go trade for a young quarterback that isn't working out right now. Go trade for Anthony Richardson. Go trade for, I don't think Bryce Young's getting traded. Dave Canales made that pretty clear yesterday.
Yeah. Good for Bryce, by the way. Good for him.
Yeah, love that. Love that. But there's just it's a disaster for the Giants. I would go sign a guy like Fields. Would go sign Fields. Sign Fields and
draft a quarterback.
And whichever one's better is the one you play, and you got to try to win every game like your life depends on it.
John Mara asks if Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will enter next year on the hot seat. We're going to have to see. I'm going to have to be in a better mood this time next year than I am right now.
Yeah, they're definitely on the hot seat. I mean, they're the worst, as bad as any franchise in the league. Which is largely Mara's fault, but
I've just about run out of patience. Then fire them, John. Like, again, like, if they're going to be on the hot seat next year, then going into next year, fire them.
I think, too, you look at the coaching candidates, and you never know. You really never know. But I like this field of coaching candidates a lot more than I have in years past.
But I disagree. I think there are an X amount of. There's not that many. There's 4 or 5.
But the Giants should be able to get one of the 4 or 5. They should be able to get Vrabel, Johnson, Glenn, Flores, whoever you want. First of all, I've been going back to this, and I've said it to you before. I thought they should have hired Brian Flores instead of Brian Daboll.
I know.
In hindsight, was it the wrong decision? I'm really not sure. I think Flores probably needed some time to mature as an assistant coach again. But Daboll won the playoff game. Daboll's, I think, a good enough offensive coordinator to be a head coach. But Flores, I think, is a good candidate. And you have a group of good candidates here and a couple former head coaches that are going to be available next year. Who are the candidates we're looking at? Maybe Slowick, maybe one of McDonald's assistants in Seattle, maybe Matt Nagy. These are the candidates we're looking at.
So if the Jets hire Flores, you're happy?
I'm indifferent. It's just, all right, good hire. Let's see if it works out. I'm starting to get that way with head coaches too after Dan Campbell's career, because I don't think now that there's a bad candidate. Like Campbell, just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all totally crapping on him and that hire, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
And Holmes is awesome.
Sirianni wasn't a great candidate.
Nope. Had that terrible press conference.
Yep.
Yeah, Giants are in a terrible spot. What about the Colts here? Ballard and Steichen back. Bad move. Bad move on Ballard.
Bad move on Ballard. And then you probably have to fire Steichen, but I like him. Like I think he's a good enough offensive coach.
I hate him now after that comment last week about not everyone's going to be on time.
That's not a good comment.
That's a bad comment.
It's a bad comment.
All right, Dolphins keep Chris Greer here. This is the one job I think you could have fired one guy and gotten a very good candidate to come in and run the team.
You've really swayed my opinion on Greer. You really dislike Chris Greer.
I think he's one of the bottom 10 general managers in football.
They're a weird spot. I mean, they're just a really weird spot. Now you got this whole Tyreek Hill situation.
Yeah,
so
which I want to talk about too.
I don't know. Is it kind of like do the players run what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Inmates run the asylum.
And who is that fall on? Right? Is that Greer or is it McDaniel? Excuse me. I wouldn't have been unhappy if they got rid of him. You would have had candidates that wanted to come in and work with the head coach. So, I don't think that would have held them back, right?
No, I don't think so either. I think that would have been a situation where if I was a GM, I would have wanted to go to. And listen, if you stink for the next 2 years, you probably have the luxury of firing McDaniel yourself and then bringing in your own head coach. Typically how that timeline works. So yeah. I would have been cool with that. I think Mike McDaniel is a good enough coach for you to say, and it's done enough for you to say, we can win with this guy. And I'm glad that I don't have to go to a place where I'm getting paired with a first-year head coach that might not be good.
But you're going into a situation where you already have your quarterback decided because he makes $50 million a year. You need to replace a number one wide receiver. You have a team that can't win in cold weather. Who is that on? Bad owner. Who is that on? So maybe they looked at their entire situation, not just the head coach, and said, you know what? Who's going to want to come here?
Yeah, and the Tua thing kind of stinks because you don't want him, really. He's good. He's not great.
But you don't not want him.
You're glad to have him when he's on the field, but there's definitely guys you'd want more.
Yeah.
Herbert being one of them, who was a pick later, and that's Chris Greer's fault.
Yeah. Look at you with the Greer.
Yeah, locked in on it. Locked in on Chris Greer hate. All right. Anything else? You want to talk awards here at all, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good there. Tyreek's interesting, though. Tyreek's fascinating. I don't know where he's going to go.
That?
Who would really want a player like that who quit on his team in the fourth quarter of the last game and when he realized he couldn't make the playoffs and, openly says he wants to trade 15 minutes after. I mean, the wound is still there. So I don't know.
Crazy for him to just go and say that.
Who would want a player like that?
A lot of teams, I think.
You think?
I think a lot of teams still want Tyreek Hill just because of what Tyreek Hill is.
But for what cost?
What's the rest of his contract look like? Cost would probably be maybe second round pick.
I was going to say a second or a third.
Because he got traded for 2 seconds and a third.
Yeah.
Back in the day. 30 years old. He's got 2 years left on his deal. No, he's got 3 years left on his deal, but you can void the 2027 year. The 2027 year is actually already voided. So you have 2 years left. He's 31 and 32 years old. Cap hits of $28 million and $51 million. Chris Greer, you idiot. $51 million in 2026.
Holy crap.
Who is taking this guy? Oh my God.
Oh my God. I mean, they're just gonna take 20 million of that and turn it into a signing bonus, though.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll happen. I think the team like the Chargers or a team like Washington or somebody will go and grab him. And, well, imagine them in Washington with McLaurin and Daniels. If
That
still there, that's a great spot.
That's a good spot.
And they you just got to hold on to him for 2-3 years. Maybe you restructure, add a year to take some of the money away, but you get those last few good years of his career.
It's a good spot.
It's a great spot.
Herbert's a nice spot for him too, though. That'd be pretty cool to watch. Yep. Can't wait to see Herbert and Daniels get number one there.
It's going to be interesting offseason. Big offseason coming up. Good playoffs coming up. If you were... I forgot what I was going to say. All right, you ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
All right, cool. So, Hardline tonight? You have Hardline tomorrow coming out?
Hardline will be out Thursday this week.
All right,
so
excellent.
We'll be able to react to all of the head coaching moves because a lot of these moves are going to happen a little later than people think, too. So, you may see an Antonio Pierce fired later today or tomorrow. So we're going to have that with a playoff prediction show and a reaction to all the coaches being fired. That's all going to be out on Thursday.
Yep, and you're going to have to see, for the Raiders, they're going to be definitely calling candidates saying, would you take this job? Yeah. I think that's going to be their next couple of days. Yeah. All right, so Hardline Thursday, Coast to Coast back this week, also Thursday. We'll let you know.
Recap. Or do we want to go after the last playoff game?
Yeah, maybe we just go after Monday.
I'm going to be away, morning. So I'm not going to be here Sunday.
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning sounds like a good spot for the next recap.
Tuesday morning, next recap. I'm starting the bunker again next Monday also, so after a few weeks off. So that's perfect. We will see you next Tuesday on this show. I don't think we're going to have a Burrows this week, just not enough going on, but make sure to follow on Apple Podcasts. We're on Apple there. We're on Spotify there. It's on different accounts. You can find the link in our bio. It's on different accounts, though, for podcasts that are normal BTO media stuff. So you got to look there. You can't find it anymore on, I know a few people had reached out to me. You cannot find it anymore on the regular BTO media Spotify. It is going to be on the Burrows, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So check that out. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you following along. Playoff time in the NFL. We'll be back next Tuesday morning to discuss it.